All right, the Reds, it's the final preview of the season from the Anfield Wrap Studios. There may be an extra one from Madrid. Who knows how that coach journey is going to unfold for the rest of the Anfield Wrap. Me, I'm staying put. I'm staying in Liverpool. I'll be covering it from this end. And to preview this big European Cup final, I've got Paul Cope, I've got Paul Johnson. And I'm going to kick off by talking about Spurs, because we all know about the Reds and we'll come on to the Reds, but I want to talk about Spurs because I keep hearing about how good Spurs are, how Spurs are going to give us a game, how it's going to be close, how it's going to be tense. Spurs are 3-1 to win this game. Liverpool are 10-11. But some facts and figures for you before I go to the boys. Tottenham have lost 19 games this season. 19 games. Watford away. Liverpool at home, City at home, Arsenal away, Wolves at home, Man United at home, Burnley away, Chelsea away, Southampton away, Liverpool away, City away, West Ham at home, Bournemouth away, Crystal Palace away in the FA Cup, Chelsea away in the League Cup, and then they went on to lose on pens, Inter Milan away, Barcelona at home, Manchester City away, and Ajax at home. Those last two, of course, were in the Champions League, but they scraped through, and they're telling themselves a big story about the names on the cup. But surely our name's on the cup. Tell me different, Jacko, come on.
There is nothing to tell. I mean, those speak for themselves, don't they, at the end of the day? I think with Tottenham, I think they can be a really good team. They've shown that at times this season. But that list, and just when I've watched them play, Robbo, there's been loads of times where I've seen things that I've thought, that's where we're going to get at them. I think they've got like this sort of soft underbelly, where if we can start bright, if we can start well, and obviously having the experience of being in it last year, I think they could freeze. And I just think our quality hopefully then should come through, because I think
they've conceded a lot in the first 15 as well.
And I just think if you look now, they've got lads who okay, you said there about some Spurs fans saying the names on the cup because of how they've done things, and you can understand why they might think that. But when you've got a set of lads who, I think when you stand in that tunnel and they stand up next to our lads, and I just think we should stand there and we should look at every single one of them in there and just say, there is no way you win this game. And I think because of last year and the determination and everything else that this run has brought with it, the fact that we were out almost before the Barcelona game and then we came through. So for me, I'm sitting here really confident, and it's not an overconfidence, because you never want to, I don't think you ever want to feel like that. But, this team can be getter, and I think we're the team to do that.
Copey, some more for you? Do you want some more?
Yeah, come on, more.
They scored 67 goals in the Premier League. They conceded 39. They ended the season with a goal difference of plus 28. The Reds scored 89. They conceded only 22. They finished the season with a goal difference of plus 67. 26 points ahead of Spurs in the Premier League. This is the 9th European Cup final for Liverpool Football Club. It's the first for Tottenham Hotspur. I mean, there's every chance that we're 2-0 up after 15, and for once we win a cup final easily. Come on.
Do you know all I can picture as you're going through all of this now, and Jacko's already had this go, I can just see the YouTube comments flooding.
I'm loving it. It's the final one of the season. Yeah. You cocky scouse bastards, you're this, you're
but even our supporters,
fucking right.
Even our supporters, you jinxing us. We've talked about this before, haven't we? There's no such thing. Yeah, look, at the end, when it comes down to this, is the funny thing about Spurs, and you look at it and people go, oh, they were in a title race and stuff, and you're like, they weren't, were they? We've done that in the past. You were there for a bit, but was it March they fell away? And when they fell away properly. Like they just capitulated. So the reality is, for the first time in my adult lifetime, actually, we were saying before about the games we've been to and all of that, we're the favourites, and rightly so. We're the big boys. I've been saying this before. We went into both Milan. I mean, arguably Athens, the second Milan game, maybe we're more even then with AC Milan. But in the first game, we're underdogs at Istanbul. Last year, we're definitely underdogs going into that game. And this is the thing now. We've got this narrative with Klopp especially of all this justification for losing cup finals. If he's always the underdog, he's always up against the big boys. And I've been saying for a couple of weeks, we're the big boys now. We're the team that's been here before. I remember after Kiev looking at the Madrid side and looking at how many of those lads had played in 3 European Cup finals. And you can get carried away with yourself, but when you take a step back and you look at things like that, And you watched it unfold in front of us, didn't you? We started that game so well, and there was just 2 or 3 of their lads that were like, "You're not going to win this game. You just won't."
Ramos.
Ramos being the main one, and I've had so many arguments with people about Sergio Ramos, but at the end of the day, he is a winner. And when he's on a pitch like that, he's looking at other people in the eye, he's looking at his teammates, and he's saying, "We're going to win this European Cup. However we have to win it, we're winning this European Cup." Because do you know what? In 20 years' time, no one's going to be saying when they're talking about Sergio Ramos winning 5 or whatever he's got, that there was this big incident with Mo Salah. No one cares.
No.
It's forgotten about. They won, and that's it. No one will talk about what he did to the keeper and whether that was intended or whether it affected what went next. They'll just remember that Real Madrid have got another one on their winning table. And I see this side now as that type of side. I see Liverpool now with the type of lads in it who look at each other and say, no matter what happens, we win this football match. No matter what. We saw it against Barcelona at home. You could see it in their eyes. They're looking at each other and they're looking at Barcelona and saying, "We'll beat you."
You know what was good about that as well? I've seen some great comments by Andy Robbo on that game where, because you know, you'd always want to know about, well, how was it behind the scenes? What were they saying to each other? 3-0 down to Barcelona. But whatever got said, they revved themselves up to a point which was and produced an unbelievable performance. But then Andy Robbo is in the press this week saying, we were a bit ragged actually. And at times, you know, we can be better in terms of our shape and things like that. And I was like, lad, you won 4-0 against Barcelona. It's absolutely fine. But it's that kind of strive for excellence as well that marks this Liverpool side out. And what Kopi said there, I've got it here. I mean, all of these may or may not start, but, you know, literally 12 months ago, the final against Real Madrid, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Dejan Lovren, Virgil van Dijk, Andy Robertson, James Milner, Jordan Henderson, Wijnaldum, Salah, Firmino and Mane all started for Liverpool. Yeah. Now, probably Dejan Lovren's not going to this time around, but everyone else will start again in all likelihood. So they've got the experience, they know what happens, they know what it's all about, opening ceremony, the crowd, the stadium, the media you've got to do before, all of that, not new. Yeah. Been there before, done it. And it's like, you know, it's like anything in life, surely. Like, you know, the first time you stand up in front of a room, in front of a load of people, you're shitting yourself.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Then you do it and you realise you can do it, or you can't. But then next time when you do it and you think about the last time, you think, well, I did it, but this could be better. Yeah. And then you go and do it better. Definitely. And so it's sort of like, you know, there's a constant psychology thing all season with Liverpool and Klopp in particular. And it's about being the best that you can be, obviously, and the stuff that's in your control. I think, based on, you know, you see Van Dijk's interview over the weekend as well, where he's talking about, don't get nervous now, because nerves don't help you. Yeah. Robertson saying something similar as well. They're going to go out there, and I'd be very surprised if they freeze. Yeah. I'd be very surprised if they don't start well.
Definitely.
You know what I
think we tell a brilliant story years back. Me and Benjiano, I don't know if you played Cope. We had a game of just a game at the academy, and on the board was 2 things: win your battles, clinical finishing. And we laughed at the time. We said, you don't have to do these 2 things. But then obviously me and Benjiano played in the same team together, and even at our level, if you win your battle against the other lads you're playing against, the chances of you winning that game multiply. Yeah. And I look at this, like you've just said, Robbo, and I look at that lineup, and okay, maybe Fabinho, maybe for Wijnaldum possibly, and then you go and gone, you've then put in an absolute world-class keeper. Touch wood, he's not going to make the errors that, you know, Carrick did last year. And you look at that team, and you look, and you mentioned it, it's that belief that this is not going to go wrong. We are not going to lose this game, no matter what you do. So Lucas Moura, you can have a worldie, and Son, you can play out your skin, and yeah, Harry Kane might be back. But whatever you do, we're going to run through that, and we're going to go over that, and we're going to win. And I think that determination, and I think maybe the fans, after what's happened in the league as well, to get 97 points and come away with nothing, and you know, and like we're obviously going to be, you know, there's going to be people giving a stick for that, but we as fans are going, you know what, we're so proud of what they've done. I think that even transpires onto to basically go, you know what, this is going to be our time. This is going to be, and again, people can comment about us being cocky. It's not. It's a confidence that you've got to have. You've got to have that confidence when you're winning. And I look at those teams, the lads there who you've named, and whoever it is our start 11, and they will look at that Tottenham team and think, no matter what you do, we are going to win this game. I genuinely feel like they're going to think that.
I think there's a couple of big things in this as well. As you're reading out Spurs' record there, it's noticeable how many away games they lose. And what you're saying about going to a new place, and we've already experienced this, and okay, it's a different stadium, different city, but we've been through that. We're good away from home. They're not. So there's something in their psyche there that when they travel away from their home base, that's just something not quite right. Well, this is an away game, effectively, and they've got to deal with that. And the other thing that's different for us this year from last year is, I remember in the ground when Salah went down, and him being in tears didn't help anyone, because the players looked shell-shocked, the crowd felt shell-shocked. And the big problem was, who do you bring on? What do you do now? What do you do? And I'm a huge Lallana fan, but as soon as that happened, I'm like, you can't win this game with him playing in that position. He's never been able to play there. He's never been quick enough when he first joined the club. This time, and it's weird because our squad isn't, like, depth-wise, it isn't considerably better. And it's mad that I'm even going to say these words, but even the fact that Divock Origi has had such a big impact in this season, and he's had the Barcelona moment, he's had the Everton moment, these little things in his career coming back. Even now, I think, well, if Divock Origi has to come on as a sub in the Champions League final, I think there'll be a feeling of Liverpool fans of probably get us a goal. Yeah. He'll impact this game.
The mentality's changed, hasn't it?
Exactly. And then on top of that, you've got the likes of, as Jacko says, one of Wijnaldum or Milner won't start. Well, that's an incredible sub to have in a Champions League final. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, I know he hasn't had much impact yet, but he should be fit, and he's on the bench, and he to have him as someone who can come on and make an impact. I just think there's so much about it that, look, as you're saying, Spurs can win this game. We won a European Cup final against it makes me laugh every time I look at the AC Milan team in 2005. Yeah. That was a fantasy football AC Milan team, if ever there was one. It's hilarious. When you look at those, I can imagine in 30 years' time, going to people who know about football history, look at those two teams, which one won? And you're like, the fantasy football team or the Sunday League team? The fantasy football one. No, actually, they were 3-0 up. I'll give you that as well. They were 3-0 up. They still didn't win the trophy. We know more than anybody else that this can happen. We know that things can happen in one-off football games, and who knows. So we can't. I think this is the other thing we learn. I don't think we will get carried away this year. I got carried away last year with the whole, it's really exciting, our name's on the trophy, blah, blah, blah. And I don't think we will this time.
The craziness has gone a little bit out of Liverpool now, hasn't it? Which I think is the big change. You know, you used to get loads of 3-2s and 4-3s and mad things like that. There's a lot more boring, conservative results now. And that's fine. I keep saying, I'm fine if we just win this final in a dead normal way for once. I'd love that. But, you know, we're still all saying the thing where we go, we're Liverpool, and that's not what we do. Listen, our Spurs feeling about all this, I think it's dead interesting because I think some of them might be just pinching themselves that they're there in the final. You know, rode loads of luck on the way there. They obviously had their brilliant night against Ajax. I enjoyed watching that myself, to be honest. But anyway, I had some time with Flav from the Fighting Cock podcast and blog. He's a big Spurs fan, supported them all his life. I don't think he really likes Liverpool, but he wasn't really giving too much away about that. But anyway, here's my chat with Flav in Manchester, which is mad why we were doing it there. Okay, I'm joined by Flav from the Fighting Cock. We are in Manchester, don't ask why. I'm not going to tell you why. It wasn't my choice, we just happened to be here and we bumped into each other. Let's stick to that story. Flav, first off, mate, tell us a little bit about the Fighting Cock and how that started and where you're at with it.
Yeah, we started about 8 years ago. Just a few of our mates, we'd get into the pub after the game and we'd have a laugh regardless of the result, and it was our kind of, it's like catharsis. And then catharsism, where we just used to talk through the result and have a laugh with each other, whereas, you know, elsewhere people would be losing their minds. And you know, another podcast that existed at the time, it kind of wasn't representative of the way we and my mates followed football, basically. So we thought, let's get a microphone, let's have a few beers, and that's the premise and has been the premise for the last 8 years. And it's worked, it's like flying. I mean, I don't know how, we fluked it. I think we started the podcast on the crest of a wave, so when we started podcasting, and the rap was a similar time, I think it blew up. And I think what we were doing was good, but it was carried along by that as well. So we were kind of lucky, but also none of it's changed. It's like my best mates with a microphone talking about Spurs and other stuff. So yeah, and it's now like the rap is a job for you and your colleagues. The Fighting Cock's a job for me now as well. So brilliant. It's a dream come true, really.
Brilliant stuff. And how long have you been supporting Tottenham then and going to the match?
Well, I mean, since I remember, my first game was when I was 4. It was a League Cup game against Bournemouth, and I fell asleep in the stairwell. And while or in the footwell rather. And I think like, my dad's a bit out of order for letting me sleep in the footwell of a do you know what I mean? So what's he doing? But anyway, that's what happened. I think he's just like, I can't be bothered to hold him, let's put him down there and then watch Spurs. And that was during the 80s, so it wasn't even like it was safe. Yeah, I've been ever since I was a kid, I knew that there were two things in the household. Tottenham was a good thing and Arsenal was a bad thing. And, it's just one of the things. And I grew up in Holloway in North London, which is rank bandit country. It's Arsenal, and growing up there, I went to Highbury Grove School, which is on the doorstep of the old Highbury Stadium. So I think my hatred of Arsenal is intensified by my upbringing, but also my love for Spurs. So yeah, all my life, home and away, going away a lot more back in the day, but it's the second most important thing in my life.
So you mentioned that you don't particularly like Arsenal, no surprise. Where are Liverpool on your radar as a club, as a city, as a group of supporters? You can be honest, that's fine.
I can't, not on your channel. And I look a lot like Jurgen Klopp apparently as well. I've had that a lot from Liverpool fans because he used to go on Ball Street quite a bit and get a lot of stick for that. Look, on a positive level, there isn't any other club or fan base like Liverpool's. They're single-minded about Liverpool being successful, and you've seen that by the way you greeted the Man City coach and how many of you turn out on the streets, whether people like it or not. That's support, and it's your kind of support. And and the cop, you're an iconic football club, and your fans are iconic for what they bring to football, and the campaigning and the walkout a couple of seasons ago was one of the best things I've seen, because I didn't think it was possible. I didn't think that boycotting was possible in the modern game, and Liverpool fans were trailblazing in that. And I think that comes from a lot about where the city's come from, and the kind of social factors that have happened in the last 30 years. And that's also why there is this kind of national disdain for Liverpool fans, because it comes from that political landscape from back in the day where the country pretty much turned their back on the city.
Yeah.
So no, I understand, right? I understand why Liverpool fans say Scouse, not English, because in your opinion, and there's lots of truths in this, is that it's the country turned its back on you. So why would you embrace the country again? Now, the issue I've got is, while I understand all that, there's one instance, there's one moment where my feeling towards Liverpool wasn't indifference like it is for any other club to what's going on over there, right? And it was when Suarez scored against England in the World Cup, and we had a Liverpool mate who was cheering Suarez scoring against England while we were there like destroyed because we'd just gone out of the World Cup. And I was like, what are you doing? This is before I'd actually gone through the process of trying to figure out where my disdain for Liverpool come from. So I can't come out here and say, look, I love Liverpool and I love their fans and all that stuff, because that wouldn't be true, and I've been on other things saying something dissimilar to that. But as a club and a fan base that's unified and pull in one direction, I don't think there's many other clubs like it. Maybe Dortmund, and that sometimes is a good thing, and sometimes it's you look at anything and they're perhaps making the wrong decision there, like the Suarez stuff. Came out and. There's arguments about either way, but in my opinion, what he said was wrong, and perhaps shouldn't have been defended. And I think a lesser player wouldn't have been defended the way Suarez does. But it's football, it's tribalism. We're not supposed to like each other.
Exactly, mate. So, okay, Champions League then. You're in the Champions League final. Tottenham Hotspur versus Liverpool. Your smile saying it all there. I'm guessing way back in August when it all kicked off, you weren't expecting this to be the case.
No. I mean, I wasn't expecting it when we drew Man City. We were so close, but so far. And drawing Man City in the quarterfinal, you'd take anyone. I'd have taken Barcelona, not because Barcelona are a lesser side than Man City actually think they are, but in this season at least. But Man City, they saw what they've done in the league. You guys got 97 points and still didn't win the league, and that's because of what Man City have done and what they are as well. They're financially doped. They've got every advantage under the sun. They've got arguably the best manager in the world. Why wouldn't they go on and do that stuff? And over two legs, it's not like a one-off knockout game where you can do it on 90 minutes. Over two legs, the best team win. And somehow we weren't the best team, and we still got through. And you saw it, didn't you? You saw the VAR. Man City were incredible. So in that game, we scored every chance we had. We had four opportunities, but three main ones that we all scored from. And
I wish you'd done that in the league, by the way. But anyway.
Oh, mate, I know, mate, I know. And I know no faith going through it, but we did it. And then obviously going into the Ajax game, we're 3-0 down at half time, and we just watched what you guys had done to Barcelona, which was incredible. And you're thinking, look, the 2 results like that don't happen in a decade, let alone one night after another. At half time, 3-0 down, we thought it was done and dusted, and it was just about being kind of philosophical about it. Well, we got to the semi-finals. That's further than we've ever got before since the Champions League was created. And then we've done that in the most dramatic fashion twice. We were ahead against Ajax for 2 minutes and 59 seconds of the entire tie. So that was it, and that's all it took. And so it is mad. And we got there, and the process to where we are now, from that game, has just been trying to figure that out. Because Liverpool, you're used to it. I mean, I don't know how many cup finals you've seen. I've seen. This would be my first cup final since 2001, which was a League Cup final, which don't count really. So this is new, and to do it on the biggest stage, like if we win this game, it's a big if still. Arsenal, and I'm sorry to bring it back to them, but fuck them. Right? Can I swear on this? Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. So if we win, they will never be able to say a word to us ever again. Never. We've done what they couldn't. They might have won league titles. They might have had the Invincibles back in 2004 and all that. They never did what we did. And we've always, they've said it for so long, and it's their fault for me being so potentially smug about this, because we were forever in their shadow. We're not.
Yeah, we say that to Everton.
Yeah, well, one day, you should be careful, because one day something might happen at Everton, probably not, but something might happen at Everton where they get to a situation where you manage to not only usurp the people that have been above you for so long, but then to do something they couldn't do when they were in their pomp. I mean, you've got to let us have it for that, surely. Come on.
Seriously though, the final then, quickly, what do you think? What are your thoughts about it right now?
I've never been this nervous about a game ever. We're 10, 11 days out, and I'm really anxious about it. I want to win so badly, but I understand how good Liverpool are, and I understand that over both games, you beat us twice already this year. What I would say was there was that 30-minute period in the second half at Anfield where we were good. We
changed shape and caused us some problems.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that we can kind of, Pochettino might learn from that. But that's not to say Klopp won't then change his system as well, as all good managers should do. So I'm going to say that we are going to snatch this 2-1. And Spurs will be champions of Europe.
We shall see, mate. Flav, thanks very much, mate. Cheers.
Pleasure, mate. Absolutely.
Nice one to Flav there for taking the time to have the chat. We were doing something else for Fans Bet, which will also be out there this week, a longer chat, but he took the time to speak to the rap as well, which was nice of him, because I'm sure he just wanted to get back down south and away from us northern oiks. Anyway, Tottenham, we don't seem to have, we haven't played them really in a big game like this before. So the side's only previous final meeting came in the 82 League Cup at Wembley, which if you don't remember, and I was only 6 myself, it's when Liverpool came from behind to win 3-1 after extra time. Ronnie Whelan got a couple of goals, Ian Rush, and that came after Steve Archibald had put Spurs in front. Different times, different teams, but I thought I'd throw it in. What I wanted to get you boys on before we talk a little bit more about Spurs and potential teams and stuff like that, is this idea, and I've seen some conversation around this on Twitter, and it was quite interesting because it was some of the rap lads who were getting involved in it. So there was Phil Blundell, there was Rob Gutman, and they were talking about, or Phil was talking about in particular, about almost how Liverpool have nearly been that good. Do you know what I mean? So we've had 3 second place finishes in the Premier League in fairly recent-ish time, so 09-14 and now 19. We've been 5 times runners-up in fairly recent history as well, so Champions League last season, League Cup and Europa League in 2012, FA Cup as well in 2016 League Cup and Europa League, 2012 FA Cup, 2007 Champions League. But there's a there's an issue here, isn't there, about being seen as sort of, you know, always the bridesmaid and not the bride. There's the Klopp aspect as well, about him continually losing finals, not just for Liverpool, but at Dortmund as well. We really need to shake this, don't we, this time?
Do you know what, Robbo? I think it's probably been spoken about quite a lot, but being in Kiev last year, I think that why probably it was easy to handle when we got beat. I was in Athens, and okay, we had 08-09 under Rafa. But when we walked away from Athens, and it, you know, the whole day was horrible, and we end up getting beat after playing okay. You mentioned that we've actually played all right. I say we had 08-09 in the league, but it was almost like you were not hanging on in there. But the difference for me for Kiev was that we got beat. I got back on that plane, and I was thinking, this team and this manager and this club are going in a different direction. And I looked at it, and, you know, look what we've done. We've mentioned about the lineups before, but all of a sudden you've got, you know, Fabinho, who's second half of the season has been immense, so he might start. You've got a world-class goalie. Where last year we had, obviously, you know, Karius who made the mistakes, and I just think, like you said, we need to shake it. But it could be that if we do it on Saturday, then that's the start of something. And I think that's, as fans, we want that, because I think the club, we deserve it, and then Klopp deserves it, and the lads who are playing this year for the performances, they deserve this trophy. And hopefully it will be the catalyst for, you know, maybe a bit of an era of the Reds being at the top again, because I think that's what we all want, and I think they can do it.
And he's right there, isn't he, in that, you know, sort of, so I mentioned all them and a bunch of load of different seasons together, and that's what people do when they say, oh, Liverpool, you know, they keep failing in finals and all that sort of stuff. But they were a lot of those different times, and there was different circumstances, different managers, but also, as he's right to say, the feel of the club, isn't he? Because, you know, you come away from Athens and almost immediately Benitez was politicking about transfers and stuff like that. And okay, you know, he kept the club going, and probably it outperformed in certain ways, given what was going on behind the scenes. Now, we're all fairly happy, aren't we? You know, we've got a good manager, we've got a good squad, we expect, despite what Klopp says, to improve further over the summer. The owners now as well have gone from being, you know, there was quite a lot of moaning to now it's actually they're all right, and they can put out their stuff in the press now about their analysts and stuff like that, and we'll lap it up because it feels right. But not long ago, you know, people were throwing darts at pictures of Michael Edwards if they could find one. Do you know what I mean? And it's all sunshiny, isn't it? But it does still need the sort of... We've made a nice cake over the season. We need to stick the cherry on the top now.
Yeah, it's funny because I've been working on my article for the build up to this, and it's a tough one to write after last year because that was the favourite thing I ever wrote, and we lost. And it's one of the things I keep coming back to about this. And we talked about it on the review show on Tour Player, actually, with Sean, Neil and Dan, which is worth listening to if anyone hasn't already. And I'm openly a massive Jordan Henderson fan and completely biased and all the rest of it, and have to always declare that. But there's a parallel universe somewhere where FSG and Jordan Henderson are like the greatest combination in the history of Liverpool Football Club, where he could have won every trophy there is to win for Liverpool, and he hasn't by this much every time. And them as owners, for all the people who hated them and slaughtered them, they could have won everything. And I mean, just from the way business operates, I can imagine them in the background all the time through this period going, we're not that far off. Like winning or losing in a final, winning or losing a league by 1 point here and there. I mean, if you're talking about in business, you're effectively won. You won anyway. You're Microsoft against Apple. It doesn't matter. So you finish, all right, you're the second biggest, they're the second best. Well, that doesn't really matter. You're still billionaires. And that's the field they're used to operating in. For me, the big thing is, and look, we talk about this all the time. Me and you write similarly on stuff like this about the philosophy of it. Klopp talks about it, that life is all about the process and the journey and sport. But the big thing is, ultimately, especially in sport, you've got to win. It's as simple as that. For the first time in a long time, I said, it might have been when I did LFC TV the other weekend, I was saying there's a bit of a clash at the moment between, and people might not like this, but between Klopp's philosophy and Shankly's in a certain way. Because Shankly's was first is first and second is nowhere. And we're in an era now, especially with Man City that we're up against, where second can't be nowhere. Yeah. It can't be. But sooner or later, you have to be first. You have to be. You can't just carry on being the bridesmaid, as you were saying before. And for me, this is that moment. And I actually think if we don't win, there'll have to be a shift somewhere. I think it's I do think it's a sliding doors moment for Jordan Henderson, because I think in this new position he's got, that he demanded, that he asked for, if he drives a Liverpool team and captains a Liverpool team in the way he's been playing recently to win a 6th European Cup, he could go on to become a great Liverpool captain. He could lead this team to the league we've been craving for so long. He's already changing some opinions of some of the people I know who hate him. But if we don't win, I think there's a different avenue where most people will say, I think it's time for Van Dijk to get the captaincy. And I actually think there may even be an element in Jordan's mind himself where it's like, well, something big has got to change here. Something's got to shift.
It just becomes incredibly hard to still be a leader, doesn't it? And be at the scene of the crime, for want of a better phrase. So we're dead right, all of us, to do this all the time and say, 97 points, incredible achievement. Getting to the Champions League final, incredible achievement. Yeah. Getting there again the season after you lost the last one, incredible achievement. But at some point, you've got to get the trophy to keep the belief for everyone. If you're that leader, if you're banging that drum, almost this group needs it, doesn't it, at the end? You know what I mean? That's what we did at All Four Boys, this big fucking trophy.
The reality is that's what they're all in it for. Yeah. They're not in it to finish second all the time, because you don't get silver medals. Rob talks about this a lot, and I think he's right. In like athletics, you get a silver and a bronze medal, and it means something. Yeah. If you've got 5 silver medals at the Olympics, well done, mate. But you don't get silver medals in football.
And it's also that, just that simple of when you do win, of having that in your own head, and obviously Klopp has won finals, but not with Liverpool, to then that kick on. We don't like referencing Man United, but you look back at Ferguson and that first FA Cup he won, which was big. What did it then call? It then started that era of domination. Now, obviously, I'm not saying we're going to do that, but why not? We with this squad and the manager and the backing of FSG. You just need to win that first one. I think if we win that and Klopp gets his hand on it and we're all craving it, Henderson, I can't, I'd be in my dreams watching him lift it up. It's that then, we've won it, that one's in the bag, and then we kick on and what else can we do?
Well, especially with it being a European Cup, with everything that's just happened with City in the league and how, when we reflect on that, I'm so happy we've got this game to go to, because I'd have been distraught. Yeah. You can be as philosophical as you want about it. To get a point tally that wins you the league every single season in the history of football in this country, and probably in every other country, apart from 2, this season and last season, and still not have a league is heartbreaking. Yeah. It is heartbreaking. So for us to win a European Cup as Klopp's first one, with this group of players, with the mentality we're talking about, this is why everyone in the rest of the country is so frightened, and they should be. And it is just all about it. It was funny seeing Milner's interview the other day where he said, we just have to win this time. That's it. Like, it's simple as that. And that's the bit I just think I'll just keep coming back to, that there's so much in it. We talked about this on the review as well. Spurs have got so much to think about in this game. Yeah. Shape, players, Kane, what do we do? We've never been here before. We haven't. We've got a group of lads who played. The team you named before is basically the team, isn't it? Apart from 2 or 3 players. Yep. We've got those lads who are playing in the European Cup final again. We know the shape. We know the team that's going to play, probably bar 1 player that Klopp needs to pick. And we've got 3 weeks to get in peak condition and to walk into that game going, we win this.
And we've won both games against them this season already, 2-1. You would think, when I've been thinking about it, I just think, the Spurs, as you say, the Spurs players have got more reason to be having sleepless nights right now than the Liverpool players. Just quickly as well, so the last 6 results of the season, Tottenham's last 6 where they drew 2-2 at Everton on the last day. Before that, obviously the Ajax game. Before that, they got beat at Bournemouth. They got beat by Ajax, they got beat by West Ham, and they won 1-0 beat Brighton. Liverpool, of course, beat Wolves 2-0, beat Barcelona 4-0, beat Newcastle 3-2. There was the 3-0 defeat in the Nou Camp. Before that, they beat Huddersfield 5-0 and they beat Cardiff 2-0. So again, everything sort of points to a certain result, a certain direction. We've got Kane announcing himself fit today. I don't know what you finally make on that, but before I just get you on that, I wanted to get you on this, and that it's something that you're touching on, I think, Opie, and that you can do all the preparation around tactics, you can do all the preparation around team, what you're going to do, strategies, etc., etc. What I think's dead interesting is that Liverpool and Spurs both coming out with the same messages right now, and they're both saying that if you can control your emotions, and whoever can control their emotions the best, they're going to come out on top. And I just think, can Spurs do that? Because even the Kane thing, I think it might be driven by emotion that he ends up in the side. Yeah. Whereas I think the smart thing to do is say, you've had about 5 injuries on your ankle. You're going to say you're fit because you're desperate to play. You're not a machine, you're a human and you want to play. Yeah. I mean, even the stuff about, he's watching the Ajax game from the stands, but he comes down because he wants to be involved. Yeah. He's going to tell his manager he's sound, even if he's not. Yeah. And I just think little things like that.
It's a big call for Pochettino. I think it was Hoddle on the radio today saying he wouldn't start him. He put him on the bench. He said because it's a great player to have on the bench if you need to bring him on. And the fact, like you said, Robert, is that one for Pochettino to go, well, hang on, I need to manage this with me head, not me heart, because as you say, it would be very easy on emotion to just throw him in when he mightn't be 100%. And for us, we don't know. I've had the debate of the weekend. Someone being, I'm gutted he's back fit, and I'm like, I'm not that. If he's not pacey, I'm not trying to, because obviously come back and bite me on the backside, but I don't feel like it will, because I think that he's a good player, he's a great finisher. His raw record speaks for itself. But when you look at more his pace and Son, how like direct he is, I actually think sound if you want to play Harry Kane. I think that's my opinion. Like.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think he causes them a lot of problems. So especially because you've got a player there who scored a hat-trick to get them into the final. So if he is fit and there is we know what this is like ourselves, when you've got an icon like that, there will be a huge desire in the fan base for him to start the game. Pochettino's got a big court if he leaves him out, because he knows if he leaves him out and they lose, that will be thrown back at him forever. But his problem is, if he plays him, are you playing them all? Are you playing Kane, Ali? You can't leave out Ali and Eriksen, I would say, for this game. Are you going to leave out the lad who scored you a hat-trick in the semi-final to get you there?
Probably are. If you're going with Kane, you're leaving him out.
Exactly. And then are you leaving Son out? Because I'm with Jacko. The one player on their team sheet that I hate to see is Son. Yeah, so if Kane declares himself fit and if he starts, and again, this is touching all kinds of wood, because we have to accept, Neil said this on the Tour Player Preview show, he could score a hat-trick from 30 yards. He's that good a player. He is really, really good. But it causes them issues, and he cannot be fully fit. He cannot be, not to play 90 or 120 minutes. So they've got an issue there where sooner or later, and we've seen this with him as well, where it gets to the point where he's plodding around the pitch and he's not really adding that much to what's going on in the game. What do you do then? Do you pull him? So that, for me, that level of uncertainty amongst their supporters, amongst their team, in the manager's own mind. Our manager does not have, he doesn't need to have sleepless nights about what do I pick, what would I regret the most, what would I regret the least. That's even just that one decision for him to make, and it's one amongst, we haven't even talked about the shape that they play. They don't even know what shape they can play against us, because whatever they picked in the last 2 games didn't work until he tweaked it during the game. They've got a lot to think about.
They had a bit of an half hour at Anfield.
They did. When they scored, it looked like they were going to score. They were on top, weren't they? And I think Klopp was about to make a change when they scored to try and combat their change of shape. But you mentioned, obviously, the 2 games, and sometimes it's horrible. Like, the only time I ever think about it was when we played United in, was it 95? And both home and away. We battered them away in 2-2. We battered them at home 1-2-0. And we froze in the final. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but when you're looking at games within the season, we at the one at Wembley, we should have been 4 up. We should have been 4 up, and we ended up winning 2-1. I think they had a good shout for a penalty in the last couple of seconds that you think, oh my God, we could have come away better with a draw. Same at Anfield, we had a spell where we would dominate when we score, and then we get a bit lucky with the second goal. But you just, like we mentioned before, I think if we can get out and start quick, I think we might be able to, score early, and that how they'd react then would probably be the big question, because I generally think that little soft underbelly that I think they have, hopefully might be really soft on Saturday.
I think that the one you mentioned it before, and I'm always reluctant to mention people, Liverpool fans go mad, but Alex Ferguson, I'm a big one for modelling the greats, and at the end of the day, he's one of the greatest managers and managed one of the greatest side in our sort of adult lifetime for our generation. And I always remember the sort of, it's like folklore now, of like his team talk, walking into the dressing room and going, it's only Spurs today, just beat them. And I feel like you've almost got to channel that in this game. Forget it's a European Cup final. Forget everything else. Look at the odds. Look at the two teams. Look at how far ahead of them we finished. We're Liverpool. They're only Spurs. Just go and beat them.
Is fucking right. Gives a prediction quickly.
I'm going to go 3-0.
3-0 to Liverpool.
Yeah.
Get in. Kofi?
Same, 3-0.
I'm saying 2-0. That's what's been in my mind. That has been the preview show. Wherever you're watching the game, whether you're going to Madrid, whether you're in Liverpool, whether you're anywhere in the world, enjoy yourself. Get there with mates. Get a pint in your hand. Enjoy yourself. This is a fantastic Liverpool side. It's got every chance of lifting a big number 6. Enjoy yourself this week. Read the Anfield app. Listen to the Anfield app. Watch the Anfield app. And on the subject of the Anfield app, it's been a big, long journey for us to get to where we are in 2019. It started way back 2010, 2011, when we first had a pint and we talked about it, and it all went from there. We've made a little film about where the Anfield app once was, where it's going, what it's about, and what we intend to do next. And we're going to finish with that. Up the fucking Reds.
One of the biggest podcasts in all of football in the world is the Anfield Wrap. Started by the fans, for the fans.
I'm delighted to say I'm joined by John Gibbons and Craig Hannon from the Anfield Wrap podcast to discuss...
George is here, and we're going to speak to Gareth Roberts from the Anfield Wrap podcast.
And this is the Anfield Wrap.
Great work what you do on the Anfield Wrap, by the way.
Nice, from the Anfield Wrap are here, Neil Atkinson and Gibbo. Hey, fellas.
Joined in the studio by Neil Atkinson from the Anfield Wrap. Morning, Neil.
Football fans have always had a strong voice in the game, and rightly so, whether that was forums, whether that was fanzines, whether that was phone-ins. But we felt there was room for something more. We felt there was room for a podcast exclusively about Liverpool, by match-going fans who go home and away watching the Reds all over the land and all around the world. Where it went from there was a radio show, where it went from there was a website, where it went from there was a series of podcasts and then a subscription service. And here we are now in 2019. The Anfield Wrap is going from strength to strength. We're going to keep on challenging the way media is done. We're going to keep on coming up with new ideas. That's what the Anfield Wrap's always been about. That's what the Anfield Wrap will always be about.
It is the pink after Liverpool beat Chelsea 2-0, and what a goal, what a moment from Mo Salah.
Liverpool Football Club have got one of the most passionate fan bases in the world. We know supporters all around the world every week are tuning in to watch Liverpool. You eat, breathe and sleep the football club, but you can't all be at Anfield every week as much as I'm sure you'd like to be, and that's where the Anfield Wrap come in. We're sharing the journey of supporting Liverpool right here from the heart of the city. We're at every game, home, away, Europe. If they play a game on the moon, we'll get there somehow. We'll always be covering it, and we'll always be sharing the journey of supporting Liverpool, and we hope you come with us.
It's another tour special on the day when Liverpool face down Barcelona in the second leg of...
We've got immediate post-match reaction, audio and video. We have a second look video that looks back at the game after a couple of days. We've got our review, which does the same thing via audio. We've got the stat show that we do now via video. You name it, we've got every single game covered. We've got transfer news, transfer reaction and transfer rumours all the way through the summer, all the way through every transfer window. We look at the bigger picture, we speak to other clubs. We've got everything that you need. Oh, and now we've got an app.
It's Liverpool Man United is the biggest game of the season, the most watched game, I believe.
So here we are, where we always are, at the match at Anfield, but we go home, we go away, we go to Europe, we go to friendlies, we go to the pre-season, we do everything around Liverpool Football Club, and that's why we do it, to bring you closer to this, to bring you closer to the match day if you can't make it. You might be from Kenny, you might be from Kenya, wherever you're from, we make it better. We tell you what it's like to be here if you can't be here. And maybe you can be here and you just want to relive it all again because it's been boss. Nothing wrong with that either, but that's what the Anfield Wrap is all about.